What's up? Welcome back for episode 39 of the Yarn Curator podcast. My name is Naomi, and welcome to my channel where we talk about knitting, spinning, yarn, the fiber arts, all that good stuff. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope you enjoy today's little sitting down, traditional show and tell episode here on my channel, like so many other people on YouTube. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another week of silliness while we talk about stitching. I feel like it has been forever since I last did this, so excuse me while I break out the training wheels, remember how to sit and do one of these episodes. And yeah, we'll jump right in. You guys, I am so excited. I once again have that itch to do the stitch. So I have two finished objects to share with you. I have new cast-ons. I got all the things to share. I have been doing a bit of spinning, which on my electric eel wheel back there, but I don't think I'm gonna show that just yet. And it's just boring, gray, natural, undyed, delicious fiber. That is of the Rambouillet sheep variety. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Anyways, down below, you can find all of my information on social media if you want to follow me or connect other places. I love chatting with all the friends that I make here through this channel. I am most active on Instagram, although that is sporadic at best. I'm on there daily. I'm a lurker. I'm an Instagram lurker. I'm not the best at posting. Anyways, as you guys can tell, I am wearing a finished object. This is my Prismatic Sweater. It is a new design out by Wool and Pine Designs. It is a colorwork yoke sweater. Let me not stand up too much because I'm going to show you anyways. Weekend on the bottom, podcast on the top.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
But this is, as I said, this is the Prismatic Sweater. So for the main color of my sweater, I used this less traveled yarn. It is on her 757 base, which is a 75-25 blend of merino nylon. And the colorway is called Devil's Bridge. And I saw this online and absolutely loved it. So I actually ordered a custom sweaters quantity for her, which basically says, can you dye me all everything in the same dye lot? And I want 4 of that because she only had 2 or 3 online available last year when I was looking at this. I originally thought I was gonna make this yarn and this yarn together as my Garden Gate sweater. So ultimately I did succeed in using these together as a colorwork yoke project, just not the one I originally intended. Anyways, when I received this, I didn't think the yarn looked I didn't think it really matched what she had online listed. So I was a little disappointed. I threw it back in my stash and it kind of just sat there ever since. I actually had it listed on a D-stash at one point. Anyways, fast forward to the start of last month, so early September, late August, and Wool and Pine asked me if I would like to knit this new design, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll jump right in, fine. I absolutely love this motif. It reminded me, it actually reminds me a little bit of It actually reminds me a little bit of the little space creatures from, what is it? Not Mars Attacks. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on the name of this because Space Invaders. It reminds me of, there's this one creature in Space Invaders. And when you were looking at the chart, I believe for this motif right here, especially when you're looking at it upside down, that's all I could see. Because the family I used to work for, I was a nanny for 2 years for a family back in North Carolina. In between undergrad and grad school, and they actually had an old school arcade, Space Invaders and Mrs. Pac-Man. So I'm very familiar with what that looks like. So I jumped on it for that reason alone. I think I'm wearing this backwards right now that I'm looking at it. Maybe not. Maybe. Hang on.
A few minutes later.
I am. Sorry about that slight wardrobe adjustment. Apparently, I can't put on my knitwear the right way around. Anyways, I jumped on this test knit partly for that reason. Went into my stash, quickly realized I only have like, there's a lot of yarn back in there, and I consider most of my stash to actually be sweaters quantity, which give or take it is, but I've been making I've made mostly sweaters the last few years, so that's dwindled down, and the single skeins have started to take back over. Anyways, I have 1, 2, 3, I would say I have probably 4 or 5 sweaters quantity in there. That's mostly what this back portion of my stash is, mostly fingering weight, indie dyed sweaters quantities. And part of that is how I like to buy yarn as I've matured as a knitter. Anyways, as I've matured and as I know what I like to make, if I go to a festival or I go to a yarn shop, I'll splurge on 1 sweaters quantity versus 4 random single skeins, because I know I'm more likely to knit a garment than socks or like a 2 skein shawl or something like that. So I pulled most of it out, and strangely, most of what's left in my stash for those sweater quantities are a lot of like dark grays, or some of them were like kind of mid-tone grays. It's a lot of grays that's left in there. And I didn't really like the way those were coordinating with the other single skeins that I had in my stash. And I wanted something nice and fall and autumnal, and I have just been into like orange lately, and normally I'm not an orange person. If you would have asked me a year ago, like, Naomi, do you like the color orange? I'm like, it's okay, it's orange. It's grown on me. It's grown on me a lot. I blame all you orange people out there with your burnt oranges. I blame y'all. All y'all who love gold, all that. It's your fault. It got me to convert to a new color. So I just kept coming back. Originally, I thought I was gonna do this instead of this blue. I really didn't want to use this blue. And not because I didn't like the color or the combination together. This is just, it's an MCN blend, and so I didn't want to do the MCN in the yoke. I kind of wanted it all to be merino nylon, not introduce that third type of fiber into the knit. This just worked best. So ultimately the color combination won out in the end. And I haven't even finished telling you guys what all of this is. So as I said, this is less traveling yarn. This is from Anzula. They are a luxury brand, i.e. expensive. I caught this on sale from Jimmy Bean's Pool last year. And then the third color is from Norah George Yarns, and it's showing up really white on camera, but it's this really light mint light green color with beautiful splashes of yellow and navy and black speckles. So you guys can get feast your eyes upon that messy ball of yarn. This really reminds me of the aspens back west. I used to live in Colorado and miss it deeply. But this yarn really reminds me of the aspens. You kind of get almost a silveriness that their bark has, and then they turn this gorgeous yellow color. And I'll put in some pictures from when we used to live out west in there. And then I love this because it's from her West series as well, out west. So the colorway is called Devil's Bridge, which is a feature of one of the national parks out west, I believe in Utah as well. And while I've not been to Devil's Bridge, John and I, my husband, we honeymooned in Moab at Arches National Park, is where we spent our honeymoon in the winter of 2012/2013. Anyways, it just reminded me of the West, and I'll put some pictures in here of kind of what it reminded me of, or even just of, like, especially when you get to Utah, and a lot of those states that have that really red clay, and it's really kind of distinct of the topography and the landscape out there, even Western Colorado when you get to like Dinosaur, which is a really cool site if you ever get to go there. It really kind of reminded me of like the rock face against the night sky with maybe like the Milky Way, or, you know, that kind of cascading through within the night sky. So yeah, I really enjoyed this color combination together. It brought back a lot of nostalgia and memory and really makes me want to move out west again. But enough of that and on kind of the color story and the color inspiration behind this project. Let me tell you about the actual knit now that I have waxed poetic for nearly 15 minutes. So this is a top-down circular yoke sweater, and then you divide off your sleeves and knit the body. And yeah, there are a couple rows in here where you hold all 3 colors at once. There are only 4 rows in total of those, which can be quite intense. But yeah, you up here, I found that I did have a little trouble maintaining my gauge through here, and I think you can tell because there's a little bit of puffiness. I'd evened out towards the bottom. I kind of had figured out my tension a little bit better down there. However, I do feel like it's kind of like a hot mess up here, but that's fine. I'm not worried about it. I've blocked it. It evened out for the most part, and I'm not going to stress about it. Yeah, then you work these rows. I think I knit about an extra inch before dividing my sleeves, and then I worked the body. And the way the pattern is written, you just work the body plain down. I don't like that much volume in the body of my sweater. I kind of have a significant, not a huge difference between my bust measurement and my waist measurement, but I would say it's probably about an 8 inches worth of difference. And so I don't like that much fabric around my midsection. I don't personally find it flattering for me. So what I ended up doing was adding in just a little bit of waist shaping. I don't know if you can see it here. So what I did was underneath the underarms, and I did not do it in any scientific manner. I pretty much just eyeballed it, but I ended up working a couple series of decreases. I think I worked about 2 or 3 inches down underneath my bust, and then I eyeballed the center of the armpit stitches, and I did an SSK, then I knit 1, then I did a knit 2 together, and knit another inch or so, did another one of those decreases, knit another inch or so, did another decrease. And I think I did a total of 3 or 4 of those decreases just to really take in the body around my actual waist. And then I continued to knit flat. I did about 2 inches of 2x2 rib at the bottom, and then I did Lori's twisty bind off, which is my preferred stretchy bind off to finish garments. I then tried it on and I was like, holy crap, I really like this as a short sleeve garment. And they were fine with customizing the sleeve length to whatever you wanted it to be. So I actually decided, since I live in Florida and since I have a few other like more sweater garments on the go, that I actually would prefer another short sleeve blouse into my wardrobe. I kind of sat it down for a day or so and really debated, do I want to do 3/4 length sleeves or do I want to do short sleeves? Obviously, this is what I decided on. I picked up 1 row, I knit 1 row, picked up the underarm stitches, knit 1 more row, and then did 1/2 inch or so of 2x2 rib and the same twisty bind off. I really like it. I have this kind of burnt orange skirt that I like to wear it with, and boots, and yeah, I really like it. Let me move on because I do have a few other projects to talk about with you guys, and I feel like this took up more than enough time. So next up, I do have another finished object. As I've been test knitting for Wool and Pine, this was my side knit, my knit on the side through the Plumeria and through my Prismatic. And this is my Nightshift. It is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I loved knitting this project, you guys. It was just the potatoey chip knit that I needed. And I knit this out of 2 Zauber balls. The pinky green toned one is 100% merino yarn, and the blue dominant one is a blend of merino and nylon. And yeah, I just changed which was the dominant and which was the background color between whenever I changed sections. And then when I got to the very end of the project, because it was getting super dang stripy, I actually just held that pink color as the background color kind of towards the end here to balance out the pretty rapid stripes that were happening. Just blend and trick the eye a little bit more. And one of the other things I did as I knew I was running out of yarn is I just kept doing this slip stitch motif as I went because I enjoyed working those rows better. That's really what it boils down to. And yeah, I just kept weighing my ball of yarn until I had, I think, 2 grams left, which might have been 3 that I saved then to work the I-cord bind off. And yeah, I used every last scrap of this pink Zauber ball. I actually used 2 of those, and I used every gram possible. I do have about 40 grams of the blue one left. I think I'll just end up gifting it to Zoe so she can knit me a pair of socks. Yeah, Zoe, I'll weave you your placemats if you knit me a pair of socks and put in heels, toes, and cuffs in all of my socks till the end of time. That's the trade I'm willing to do. We were having a conversation last night. She wants me to weave her a table runner and or placemats for their dining room table. And I was like, girl, that's a lot of work. I still haven't even finished my first project on the loom. It's staring at me. Anyways, I really enjoyed working on this, and I was worried that this dark blue Zauber ball was going to be a little itchy. The wool didn't feel quite as fine as the other ball, but it's really nice. And y'all, I have to say, I could not put this project down. It was so enjoyable to knit, and I just really like it. And I have to say, once again, being a hashtag Florida knitter, I am actually really glad I ended up doing this out of a fingering weight yarn because the pattern calls for worsted, and I really like having this actually in the lighter weight yarn. I think it's going to be a lot more usable and a lot more wearable, and it's not nearly as heavy and big and unwieldy. It's actually kind of like a normal sized scarf. So yeah, this is my Nightshift. Nothing but good things to say about this pattern, and I have to say doing it in the self-striping yarn was actually really nice as well because it took a lot of the overthinking that I am prone to do about color placement. I just went with it. And normally I don't think I would put these color combinations together. Like, this is normally not something that I would on my own put together for colors, but I really love how it came out together. This right here is like, this is like my favorite section of the shawl, and also kind of back towards here. But yeah, it's not something I would normally do on my own. I probably would not have come up with this, but I love just stepping out of that comfort zone a little bit more. It's something I've been trying to do, is get out of, y'all know I love my purples, my pastels, kind of lighter colored creams and that sort of stuff. And so I'm branching out, I'm getting out there. So that is my Nightshift, my side knit, my side piece. Gotta find a new one now. So if that wasn't enough for projects, my friend Rachel, who has been my very good friend since middle school, she was actually my date to my brother's wedding a few years ago because Mr. Yarn Curator was still in Colorado. I had already moved to Florida. And so she lives in the area where my brother lives, back in North Carolina, and she came as my date. That's the last time I saw her. Anyways, she has had a baby. She actually had the baby early, so it's kind of messed up my knitting plans. Thanks, baby Theo, for coming a month early. I sent her a message on Instagram. I was like, oh my gosh, send me your address when I found out she was pregnant, because I wanted to knit her all of the baby things. So you guys last saw this in an acquisition segment, and I had actually crocheted a little bit of a corner to corner blanket, and I was totally committed to crochet. I ripped it out. And because I knew the baby had already arrived and time was of the essence, I just switched to a knit corner to corner blanket. So I have this 150 gram ball from Sidar. It's a patter cake, and the color is the very descriptive F224. And yeah, this is 70% acrylic, 30% nylon. You can see a little picture here of it all knitted up. So it actually has some green in it, which is what I'm working towards now. So honestly, y'all, I was gonna crochet it, but I knew time was of the essence, and I didn't want to fiddle around with learning to crochet better than I can barely do now. And yeah, this is mindless. I've just been working on this under the table in staff meetings, or when my husband and I watch football and F1 on the weekends, and this is perfect for just mindlessly knitting while my eyes are diverted away from the project. So I started here, it's moved through these blues into white, now we're in yellow, and it'll work its way to green. So yeah, this is just quick, easy, enjoyable. I've already started decreasing. I'm neurotically weighing my skein because part of me is like, oh, I could have made it bigger, but when I divided it, it was actually closer to like 72 grams. So hopefully I won't be playing yarn chicken at the end of this. But because I am just a kind and generous friend, I couldn't just give her a baby blanket. So once again, this podcast should be brought to you by Wool and Pine. They asked a couple months back if there was anyone out there who would want to preview knit some baby knits. They have an upcoming ebook coming out for baby-sized sweaters of some of their most popular designs. And I was like, oh, well, my friend's pregnant. This is perfect. So I have also cast on a little infant-sized sorrel. It's kind of hard to see right now because I have it on a really small needle that I normally make hats with. And by the way, you guys, holy crap, our baby knits fast. This is like 3 or 4 hours worth of work. And I would have more done, but I misread the chart and had to tink. So you can see it has those dip stitches in there. So I'm working the yoke right now. This is more Norah George yarn. I bought this on a Ravelry D-stash. I bought a set of 3 skeins. There was this kind of bluish green aqua and a pink and a purple, and it was part of like a birthday cake set. I think it was part of an anniversary 3 skein set that she put together, but it's mine now. So anyways, I caked this up to use in my Bits and Bobs blanket. I think I used a little bit of it in it and then cut it for some reason. I don't know. But I think I'll have more than enough. I am making the size 6 month to 1 year old, because by the time he gets this, I think he will be between 3 to 4 months old. And so I don't know how big he's gonna be. I figured rather bigger is better because he can always wear it in the new year. So yeah, this is, yeah, for my friend Rachel and for her baby. So hopefully I will finish both of those soon. I'm gonna buckle down and work on those. Up next is a whip you guys will be familiar with. This is my Waffle Cardigan, and I don't have much to say about it if you're a returning viewer, so you're in luck. Other than to say I finished the body of it. So this is a pattern by Knitting for Olive. I am knitting mine out of Zoe, my sister's yarn. She's Felicity Yarn Studio. She also has a channel here on YouTube. I am knitting this out of her MCN base held with 1 strand of mohair in a custom colorway to make the most beautiful, beautiful sapphire emerald green. If you want to know the story behind that sweater or color, go like 3 episodes back. So yeah, I worked a couple more repeats and then I decided I didn't want this super long because my last cardigan I made a bit longer. So this gives me a little more variety. So I knit this to right about the top of my true waist. And I know it'll grow some with blocking as well, so that was another reason I went a little shorter. Same with the body. I ended up, I think, going down a pattern size because I know this is going to just grow. So yeah, as I said, my mojo is back and I really want to cast on all of the things, but between finishing my night shirt and binding off the body of my Waffle Cardigan and then finishing this project, I am really in buckle down and knock out the whips mode before I cast on new things. Now that being said, I finished 2 things. So according to Newton's 9th law of physics, I could cast on 2 new things because for every stitch in motion, there is an equal and opposite stitch in motion, right? It works like that, right? Gemma of the Midnight Diary and I were talking about this theory the other day. So I think it applies. So yeah, that's like cast 2 off, cast 2 on. It works. It works. So yeah, I really would like to finish this and my stone crop cardigan. I would like to finish both of those projects because I sat down the other night and wrote out a list of like 10 things that I want to cast on this fall/winter. One of which is I would really like to use my hand spun yarn that's right here. I really want to cast that on for Vertices Unite. I want to cake up I think Zoe's advent calendar from last year and use that to make the bubble cardigan, which is a pattern out by West Knits. I am spinning this rambouillet. I have 1 pound of this delicious kind of oatmeal-y gray that I think is going to be something cabled next year. And I also wouldn't mind making a second exploration station. That's my favorite shawl to wear. Oh, what else was on that list? The Laurel jumper Zoe Gemma of Gemma B Makes and I were all chatting about maybe all doing a Laurel jumper, which is by Along avec Anna or Anna DeRoe. And we were all talking about doing like a hand spun contrast color. So Gemma, I might end up copying you because I have this gorgeous black purpley blue that I might do a hand spun contrast for. What are some of the other patterns I've been looking at? Yeah, I don't really want to cast on anything new until I cast off some of the other older projects I have down there, which really it's just my waffle cardigan and my stone crop at this point for lingering whips, I think. I mean, there's I have like a 5-year-old whip somewhere down there, and I have a couple really old whips that I just need to either frog or finish, but I'll figure that out later. So I think I am going to end this here today, you guys, because I feel like it is long enough, it's rambly enough, it's probably going to be super it is probably going to be super disjointed, and I apologize for that. Like I said, I'm out of practice. It's been a hot minute, but it's just been incredibly busy here. We have been making changes in our house. Our car has needed work, so a lot of my Mondays have been spent at like the Honda waiting room and then chasing down mechanics to work on our truck. And by the way, have a new drive shaft in my truck that I drive. My husband drives our, it's totally backwards. I drive our pickup truck to work and my husband drives our hybrid to work, but that's mainly because my commute is a lot shorter than his, so it makes more sense. I also like driving that vehicle better than the other one that was supposed to be my car. So yeah, that has a new drive shaft now, so I feel a lot better driving. We are actually commuting together. He was dropping me off at work about 30 minutes early, and I would just go sit in my office and knit before the start of the workday, and then my coworker, who lives not far down the road, would drop me off on the way home. So we did that for about a month until we could find a mechanic who would actually return our phone calls and do the work. Yeah, so that's been going on. We're making some changes in our bathroom. The yard is always an ongoing project. I think that is about it for life updates. So I am going to leave you guys on that note. So that does it for life updates. I will leave you guys there. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you're working on, what you want to cast on, dream knitting, all of that good stuff. And until next time, I hope you enjoy whatever you're making. I hope it brings you joy, and I'll talk to you later. Bye! I got the tag from my last project, but not this one. Okay. Nope. I think that is about it for life updates. I'm sorry, my coffee just tried to kill me.